Moving on to topic number 3. We're sticking with F1, folks. Sebastian Vettel not happy about what's going on with his team as they've sort of struggled to pick up wins. He keeps saying, top 10s are great for midfield cars, but not for us. We need to do a better job. We need to get podiums. We need to get wins, Brandon. Vettel, a 4-time champion. This guy is not used to just being average. This is why these drivers are so good. This is the mentality that he has. Verstappen, obviously Lewis Hamilton, Sergio Perez. This is why these guys are in the top 5 almost every week. So when Vettel doesn't get to the podium or doesn't get to the top 5, he's upset about it. Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, these Formula One drivers are just like any other top athlete in their game. They're type A personalities. They want to win. They want to be the best. They want to show that they have everything it takes to be the best. And we're talking about, like you said, a 4-time F1 world champion, Sebastian Vettel. And he, I think, deserves every right to be in a car that can fight at the front. And I think he's just voicing his opinion right now. So hopefully Aston Martin will get hardworking in the factory to basically deliver that car in 2022 when the regulations change. Because this year, at times, they have just been, I want to say, a joke at times, to be honest. They haven't had the pace. I believe there was only a few races, and they were mainly early in the season, where Aston Martin was showing great pace. And, Sebastian Vettel was obviously up there in the Hungary race after that huge debacle in turn 1 with Mercedes, McLaren, and Red Bull. So he was there to pounce and take on that. So it shows he's still got it left. He's still one of the best drivers on the grid, in my opinion. I would love to see this guy in a car that can compete for wins. I think we're looking at a Formula One world champion that's been competing in the midfield, and then watching Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen race in arguably one of the most exciting title battles we've seen over the last few decades. And he's like, man, I want to be in that battle, and I know I have the talent to be able to do it. I just need equipment in a car that is going to bring me up there to battle with these guys. And I agree with him. I honestly think he does have the talent to be able to battle with Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. Another guy is obviously Fernando Alonso. I think if you give him a better car, he'd be right up there. Another Formula One world champion that would be up there battling with these guys. That's what we're hoping to see in 2022 with the regulation changes. Cars that will be able to follow each other a lot closer, a lot easier, without the quote unquote dirty air, so we can have closer racing and maybe more overtakes, maybe closer battling. And another reason, you talked about it earlier in the thing, is, so some of these smaller teams with smaller funds like Aston Martin can have a chance to bring themselves to the top of the grid to fight with Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull. So I think this is an exciting time. But, Sebastian Vettel is just voicing his opinion and saying you need to get hard at work right now and maybe even deliver this car a little bit better over these last 5 Grand Prix that we have, so we can have a fighting chance and have some great momentum carrying us into the offseason, so we can really work hard on developing this 2022 car, so we can fight for the wins next year and get back to the front. And I'm telling you, this guy has what it takes to get back to the front. Remember, he's coming off of racing with Red Bull, winning his 4 championships there. Then he moves on to Ferrari, has a great showing there. Obviously doesn't win the titles that he wants to with Ferrari, but still has an amazing showing and is in the title battles with Lewis Hamilton for the next 4 or 5 years when he joined Ferrari. So he wants to get back into that title fight. Right now, he's saying racing for midfield points is not gratifying. He wants to be fighting for those wins. I understand, and I back him. Sebastian Vettel, you deserve a car that can fight for wins.
Yeah, first off, with Vettel, too, he's got so much experience. He's a 4-time champ. He's got 53 wins on the circuit. I mean, when you're sort of later in your career, too, you just don't care about the little victories. Like you said, the midfield points. Like when you've been a champion that many times, and you're sort of towards the end of your career and you want to finish it off, in the style, you don't care about the little victories. So I totally understand where he's coming from. I think you mentioned it too, Brandon, where he understands they're not going to be fighting for anything at the end of this season. But he's saying right now, Aston Martin and him and everybody else involved in the team needs to really get in gear for next year. This is sort of like how they build momentum into next season. So, you know, when they have the new restrictions on budget, which I think it's going down to 145 million or something like that, and then it's dropping down to 135 a year or two later. You know, and some of the other restrictions with the engines and with the cars and everything, you know, they think it's going to level off the playing field, which makes sense. And again, he wants, you know, the teams to get working on it now. One thing you got to remember with some of these teams too, though, I mean, not, you know, setting Mercedes and Red Bull aside, the rest of the teams are saying, well, next year, you know, these new restrictions are going to kind of level the playing field. Yeah, it will, but all the other teams are going to have, it's going to level the playing field for all the other teams too. So it's not, you're not necessarily going to be a better team across the board. You just might be a little closer to Mercedes and Red Bull, but you've got, you know, 3 or 4 other teams that are going to have just as good of a chance as you are because their playing field is leveled as well. So, you know, one thing is this, like you mentioned, the competition is going to be better. There's going to be more battles. There's going to be more, you know, drivers trying to get by each other during all these races. But in the other hand, like all these teams that are gearing up for next year, you're not necessarily going to be building all these wins because everybody else is going to be in a very similar position as you are. So while it is going to level the playing field, you know, I don't see another team surging up. So, you know, all these teams have a lot of work to do to get to a good year next year in 2022. But like I said, and like you said, like Vettel just has that mindset. That's why they signed him to be at Aston Martin. They need somebody who, you know, we talked about how Tom Brady, as soon as he got to Tampa Bay, they won the NFC Championship. A player from Tampa Bay, a young guy, was crying in the locker room. Brady said, "Stop crying. We have another game." Meaning, like, I have 6 rings. I'm not satisfied. So neither should you, who you don't have any rings. You know, so I think that's what Vettel's kind of saying to this Aston Martin team. Like, listen, I've done this 4 times, you know, and I still want to do this. I still want to be getting podiums and getting up to the top. So let's put our, you know, for lack of a better term, let's you know, put the pedal to the metal here and try to do a better job.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good call. He's just trying to like motivate this team now so we can get working on it and deliver for them. And like you said, the regulations are going to bring teams closer together, but that doesn't guarantee you anything. You have to work hard now because other teams are going to be working hard on those regulations and trying to develop their car to be different from yours to basically accelerate themselves in the fight next year. So if you're not doing that right now, you will be left behind in that battle, in that development fight that is going to start in 2022. And he's just saying, hey, I want to be in the fight. I've got the experience. I've got the talent to be able to fight with these guys up front. You just have to give me a car to do it. And I completely agree with him. So, hey, let's move on to topic number 4. Topic number 4 is Canelo out.